Overview of the second stage of Pip's Great Expectations. The second stage of Pip's Great Expectations starts in London. And the key word there is disillusionment, because Pip had expected great things, and he learns that it's not all, London is not all it's cracked up to be. We're also introduced in the first chapter of this stage of Pip's Great Expectations. We're introduced to Jagger's office, which is a creepy, crawly, nasty place that represents Jagger's. You should have notes on what that office looks like. I went into pretty good detail during class time, so I expect you to refer to those notes. You've got the horsehair chair with the brass surrounding. It's coffin-like. There's the casts on the shelves and all that kind of stuff, and that represents kind of the sinister nature of Jagger's. Then we learn all about what London is, and it's filth and fat and foam, and it sticks to Pip, so it's disgusting. And it represents really this stage in Pip's life, that this stage in Pip's life is not all that it's cracked up to be. We're introduced also to Walworth, which is Wemmick's house, which is a miniature castle, and the Aged P, and that, of course, represents Wemmick's silly kind of nature, and you'll need to know what that house looks like, what's surrounding the house, what goes off at 9 every night, who the Aged P is, and how he's kind of important in the story, because he helps us with Wemmick's characterization, so I expect you to know those things. We're also introduced to Jagger's house, which shows that Jagger's, although Wemmick separates work from pleasure, Jagger's does not. He is all business all the time. And we're introduced to the pocket house, which the key there is tumbling up. They are tumbling up, they are not growing up, and it represents kind of this expectation of class, whether you have it or not. And then, of course, Pip lives in Barnard's Inn, which is falling apart and represents that kind of disillusionment. And he lives there with Herbert Pocket. We are introduced in this section to Wemmick, Jagger's, Herbert, and so those are our key players in this section. Herbert is our Joe character. He's just purely good. Does not have necessarily the status. He doesn't have financial means. He doesn't know how to make it work, but he is good through and through, and takes all of the blows of life and just keeps trucking on. And he and Pip become fantastic friends. Jagger's represents all lawyers. He's all about the Benjamins. He's all about work, and not about forming relationships or even caring what people have to say. And he's, of course, a hand washer. Wemmick is representative of that work and business life separation. He just works to support kind of his life at home and his family. But there's a definite separation there between his work and his home. And Pip has a good relationship with Wemmick. He has a good relationship with Herbert, and he has a distant relationship with Jagger's, but Jagger's holds the purse strings, and he's the one who has been instructed to kind of keep Pip going in this life of becoming a gentleman. In this section, we find out that Estella is starting to question her upbringing. She doesn't feel yet that she can move on, that she can be a different kind of person. She still feels like she is a puppet of Miss Havisham's, and that she must be obedient because of her upbringing. But she starts to warn Pip and tell Pip that she sees her relationship with him as different. Miss Havisham is the puppet master in this section. Even though she is not Pip's secret benefactor, she leads him on because she enjoys playing with Pip's heart, and she uses Pip to prepare Estella for this life of being a lady in high society and breaking men's hearts. Biddy is our sounding board. She knows that Pip is not all he's cracked up to be, but she's still his friend, and she gives him very wise advice, and Biddy loves Joe, and she is a good character. Pip's conversation, you'll need to know about Pip's conversation with Joe in London, know about the silversmith, the blacksmith, the goldsmith, and the importance of Joe's final words in that chapter. With Pip's meeting Estella and Miss Havisham in chapter 29, you need to know about Pip and Estella's conversation and the love her, love her, love her. If she wounds you, love her. Pip's meeting Estella in London, that's the puppet idea, and that they are no longer, they're not free to follow their own devices, you and I, is the important quote there. Know that Pip and Herbert discussing their financial situation is supposed to be a humorous interlude, and it also shows that Pip is increasing in debt, and that's going to be, that foreshadows things to come. Pip and Biddy's conversation after his sister's death, what's important there is that Biddy knows that Pip is not going to come back and visit Joe, that he is not going to change his relationship with Joe, but Pip doesn't know yet. Pip's conversation with Wemmick about his Walworth sentiments, this is important because at work, Wemmick tells Pip that Pip should not be Herbert's secret benefactor, that it would be better if he took his money and threw it off a bridge. However, at home at Walworth, Wemmick says, yes, you should always help out a friend. So he has two different pieces of advice depending on where he is. Miss Havisham's conversation. Hold on. Miss Havisham's conversation about Estella's inability to love. I have a whole video on that. It's 11 minutes long. Go for it. And Pip's meeting of his benefactor. Know who Pip's secret benefactor is, and know why he set him up. Why the secret benefactor wants Pip to be a gentleman. Know that. Read chapter 39. We already have talked about why Joe is the way he is. That's actually not really in this section. You know why Miss Havisham is why, but we learn more about her story in this section. Herbert tells the more of her story, so make sure that you know that. The warnings that Estella gives Pip, that's really this whole section. She's warning him, so make sure you know those warnings, and I have a video about one of those warnings, and why Estella is the way she is, or at least why she thinks she's the way she is. So she's what Estella says, which is that Miss Havisham is controlling her, and she's being obedient to Miss Havisham, and that there's no way Pip could understand what Estella has been through and the upbringing that she's had, and how Pip changes in this section. We grow to hate him, and then at the end we realize, oh my goodness, he has been a dupe this whole section, and he has been tricked this whole section, and so we're going to see some redemption in the third stage of Pip's Great Expectations, because he realizes that he is messed up, and now he's got to make it right, and we appreciate Pip for that in the third section. Know that at the end of this section, the carpet has kind of been pulled out from underneath us, and we don't know what's going to happen next. So there's some suspense at the end of this section, and we want to know, okay, what's going to happen now that Pip has found out who his secret benefactor is, and how is this all going to play out? So that's kind of an overview of this section. Please look at the study guide. The vocabulary that will be covered on the test is section 3 and 4. There will be sentences where you will have to fill in the blank with the appropriate word. I would focus on the what happens in the following scenes more than the settings and the relationships. Um, and I would make sure that you're able to describe Biddy, Jaggers, Wemmick, and Pip. So make sure that you're able to come up with some adjectives to describe Biddy, some adjectives to describe Jaggers, and some adjectives to describe Wemmick, and adjectives to describe Pip, because you're going to have to do that on the test. And then I think you should be well prepared. You should have notes on everything. I have gone over everything on the study guide in class or in this video. So please make sure you look at those notes and you tag things in your book. Good luck.